Hello and welcome to Goa 365's Face to Face. With me is a familiar face, and as of now, he is all set to take over the reins of the GCCI under very trying times, I must say. Welcome, Ralph D'Souza, to our show.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Ralph, I would like to generally, you're taking over from June, right? As the head of the
From
GCCI?
July.
From July.
From 1st of July.
Okay. Now, I would like to, as part of GCCI and as part of you've been in the tourism industry for a very, very long time, one of the prominent faces of tourism. So, could you tell us what is the exact situation, starting with tourism and then moving on to the other sectors, because you are part of GCCI. You're heading GCCI for the next 2 years, I think, right, Ralph?
Yes. Well, it's like this. We've had a lot of hiccups before. You know, there was the 9/11 where there was a little recession. Then there was that supposed to be that plague which never happened in Surat. But all this affected tourism. But nothing like this. This is something that is prevalent for last 2 years. Not only for tourism, but across the board. Talking about tourism, it is the most affected sector of the economy because it is the first to go and last to revive. The moment there's a problem, people cancel their holidays. And of course, if they want to go for a holiday, they have to go in a very peaceful manner, unwind themselves, have a great time and come back. Nobody is going to move in stress times. But this particular pandemic started with a bang. The airlines, all of them stopped flying, the travel agencies stopped selling, and there was sort of paralysis. When the lockdown was imposed, it was a complete paralysis of the industry, not only of tourism, but every other industry that took follow. And this had to be done to contain the infection that was spreading all over the country. This lockdown was complete, and then gradually it was opened, and there was a silver lining. But during this lockdown, there were others who suffered tremendously, and these were the retail and the MSMEs, the skill sector. These are small companies. They don't have huge reserves to fall back on. If the business is stopped, they're in huge trouble. So MSMEs, that is the small scale industry, as well as the retailers, they are in a financial constraint. When the situation eased out, as I said, there was a little bit of a silver lining. For 4-5 months, the economy was bouncing back. There was a movement of people, but unfortunately, this dream was short-lived. The second wave started, and the second wave was more severe than the first one. As a result of that, again, there were restrictions that had to be imposed. Not in the form of a total lockdown, but in form of a curfew, which is as good, as effective, because the commercial activities were all curtailed, with the exception of some, essential commodities. The rest were all shut. So here again, this was the second edition of the beating that the industry took. Today, it's been extended. The curfew has been extended till the 7th of June.
Yes.
We just received the notification. After that, there should be, if there is an opening, straight away it will be in phased manner. So we should expect to be in turmoil for at least next 2-3 months. This is what I think.
What about the other sectors, Ralph? This is tourism. What about the other sectors? What do you feel?
Yes. No, as I said, the small scale sector, MSMEs, the manufacturing sector, they're in trouble. And also, also, even the agriculture, You know, if you go to agriculture, fishery, everybody is affected. Once the market is shut, the produce, especially the perishable commodities, they have a problem marketing them. So even they got affected. Some of the industries that were on and did quite well, pharma was one. They had
Okay.
the circumstances forced them to remain, and thank goodness they remain in operation because they helped helped lot in curtailing this epidemic. The other sector of the economy that was completely stressed trying to control this was the medical outfits of Goa.
Yes.
We call we call them the frontline workers. They were stressed to capacity.
Yes.
So, all in all, this pandemic has affected across the board.
Okay. Now, what I want to bring into focus, Ralph, is that how are these businesses going to survive? See, ultimately it is, you have to manufacture, fine, your factories are open, your X is open, your Y is open, but there should be clients. So, how is it that now you starting with I don't want to start with the tourism industry on this. I want to start, say, for example, manufacturing, because tourism is, I will go a little later. I have a specific parameter sort of for tourism, but here I will talk about, say, construction, retail, manufacturing, various. How are they going to survive?
To start with, when the first lockdown took place, there was a huge migration of the labor to their respective states. Most of the labor in Goa come from outside Goa. So
Correct.
there was a huge migration. Fortunately, these workers in Goa had a lot of comfort compared to the other states. They were well looked after, fed, the camps were good, trains were organized, and they went back home. Of course, those people who panicked and went on their own were in trouble, but all in all, they were well looked after. Secondly, the logistics got hit. Goa gets its raw material, all our factories, all our industry gets raw material from outside the state. And again, the finished goods have to be sold or shipped from outside the state again. With the trucking, the train stopped, the logistics come to a standstill, and you have a problem again. So how do we get over these problems? See, there are various aspects. One is the financial problem. As I said earlier, smaller the industry, the bigger problem they'll have bouncing back. If they go for extra loans, they should be in a position to service them.
Correct.
At the moment, the chamber has approached the state government to come up with a package for small retailers to start with. The retailers are shut without any business, and they are in a lot of trouble. They have rents to pay, they have got municipal taxes to pay, their outgoings are there. The electricity, whether consumed or not, those minimum charges even are quite high. So their outgoings are going on and there's no income. So some sort of a package the chamber is working. Our President Manoj Kakula has already approached the state government to handle this. As far as the other small scale industry and other industries concerned, there have been approaches to the various departments of the government to help out. One would be in deferring the payments of the utility charges. Utility bills like water and electricity are huge bills, especially in factories, because the process is continuous. The machines are on all the time, heavy duty machines, so electricity consumption is high. So to defer the payments, that would help. Secondly, also there's the GST to be paid, taxes to be paid, a lot of dues to the government. Of course, there are revenues that the government requires to run. But as far as possible, if some sort of a deferment would be organized here, that also would have helped a lot.
Okay.
The labor has come back. The labor has come back. Of course, there was a second fright, but very few went home. Most of them stayed on.
Okay.
And many factories in the estates were running.
Okay. So that's good, right?
Yeah, there is. They are managing, but barely managing. A lot of support is required to put them back on rails.
What support like?
As we said, deferment of these dues. Secondly, financial support. Maybe not by the government directly, but some sort of an arrangement with the intervention of the government, with the financial institutions, or soft loans. The present loan, the central government has already instructed the banks to give further moratorium. These moratoriums give you a temporary respite because you are just postponing your liability. End of the moratorium, you'll have to pay all that.
You have to pay, obviously, plus interest.
You have to pay interest. So it becomes, it's a sort of a relief right now, but later on you're going to be having a problem. So over there, certain interest benefits, if they are also given along with these facilities, that will help pay up the financial charges.
Ralph, what I wanted to know now, this you're talking about manufacturing. Now, what about the other type of businesses that Goa also has besides tourism? It's got construction, it's got real estate, it's got. So, how is that going to survive? Is it going to thrive? How long will it take to get back on its feet? Fishing.
See, real estate and construction, there are two sides to this. We have just realized that after the first lockdown, there's a huge demand for villas in Goa and land in Goa again. Because people who were locked up in their flats in the metropolitan areas, they want their space. They have moved to Goa for a long time with their families and they work from here. So they take villas on rent, they're looking at villas to buy. There is a good demand there. Where I think there is a bit of a fall in demand is as far as the apartments are concerned. As far as the flats are concerned, over there, again they were facing a problem because the labor that is employed in construction is out of state. So if once they go there, you are in trouble because even the skilled labor like carpenters, like plumbers, like benders, they all come from out of state. So again there was a problem. They have come, they're starting again. Here again the government can help. The main thing the government can do is implement the ease of doing business, quicker licenses, without running around, cut the red tape. We are trying our best. The Prime Minister is always talking about implementing ease of doing business. This is what we require right now. If we have a support from the government in quick license and redressal of the issues across the board, this will be the first and the genuine help that the industry will receive. And besides this, we will also have more governance in the sense that online applications which have already started, we should not only continue, but we should spread this to other areas. We make all applications, everything online because today there is no interface. The government departments are closed or they are running at 50%. How do we go? How do we go from table to table getting our licenses approved, which is a long route to follow. So if we have online applications made and if the clearances or queries are also handled online on time, this will be another great help that the construction industry and other industry will benefit from.
Yeah, okay. Now let's go to tourism and the service sector like tourism, airlines, airports, charter tourists. Now this before you start on that, I want to know one thing. Now this industry is based on confidence of the people. one. And the type of tourists who come into Goa are depends on the infrastructure one gives. So now in this pandemic time, what are the challenges faced by all, and moving post pandemic or living with the pandemic, as I would like to say, what would you want, what do you need to survive? Because you are an expert at this, but I'm looking about specifically different types of tourists who are going to pay, who see that Goans are going to earn, locals are going to earn, or people just come in their trucks and buses, cook on the road and go back. So I'm looking at different segments. So if you could go in detail on this pre-pandemic, I mean pandemic, post-pandemic, or living with pandemic.
Okay, to start with, this industry is the most sensitive industry because it deals with people.
Confidence.
What we require first is proper checks at the borders. Whoever are coming to Goa as tourists should come with a vaccine certificate, saying they are vaccinated. Or those who are not vaccinated with a negative certificate saying they are not affected with COVID. This will ensure that those who are coming to Goa are safe. This is the first thing, because the lives are more important than the industry. Once this happens, they move to the hotels and various other aspects. Coming to your question, specific question now, Glenn, is we have seen a lot different types of tourism, but what we are looking at right now is only the domestic tourism. The flights are not going to start at least before November. So what we are looking, if the tourism opens, which I don't think is going to open so soon, we'll start with domestic tourism. And this domestic tourism, we must be very careful. Of course, it's a free country, anybody can move anywhere, but yet there can be checks and balances. The bus loads that come, there is a huge problem that might come along with it if they are not properly checked. Fortunately, during the window that opened, people drove down and came. That is because there was not proper transportation also. People drove down and came. And if you see, there were more cars with out-of-state number plates than Goa number plates on the entire coastal belt. The profile of this domestic tourist was rather good. And besides this, you had the youngsters that came here. They are normally, you see them hiring bikes and riding on them. Mercifully, we did not see those bus loads that normally come and live in the buses or live on the footpaths or live in some park or the other. So, as far as possible, our promotion should be such that we really attract the type of tourist that Goa deserves.
Goa deserves,
as far as
Goa deserves or Goa needs. We don't need people who are going to make a profit when you come to Goa and go back.
Yeah. See, what happens is the multiplier effect of tourism goes right down to the baker, to the fisherman, to the vegetable vendor, everybody.
Correct.
So if there are people coming in, people across the state have their living. It's not only the people who are employed. The people who depend, the suppliers, they also survive.
Correct.
So it is in the interests of locals, interests of the industry, that we have to properly manage this industry. Things are changed. Things have changed completely. Even in the hotels, there are a lot of investment, lot of attention is today to make sure that the properties are safe and they are properly, properly disinfected, and we have all the COVID protocols in place. This is very important.
Okay, Ralph, I would like to just add on to a little bit of this one segment of this particular industry which you have known, that is the casinos. Now, what about the casinos? How are they going to be controlled, and how is that going to be such an issue? Because a lot of people do depend on them.
See, normally, whenever there is infection, the infection spreads wherever there are crowds. We know
Yes.
this by example. The
Yes.
coast was affected because of those parties that were held there. Now, if you are going to open the doors and everything go wild, we are going to be in trouble.
Again, trouble
There are-
again.
Like if we don't do the checks and balances, as I said about vaccination, negative certificates, just all night parties, those things don't work. It's very dangerous situation. So whenever your activity first should not be an activity which is crowded. Talking about casinos, they have to take the utmost care. Again, they have to make sure that whoever comes to the casinos, first the staff and the guests are either vaccinated or they are tested negative. Then, as they have done in offices now, one can also impose restrictions on number of people entering a casino at a time. If these things are put in place, then it will be a much healthier situation.
But this has to be, see, I am aware of what the Chief Minister has been saying, that he's saying, no, people should take care, and the doctors are saying people should take care. But that's not going to happen. We see people riding, the way they ride, the way they drive. People following rules in Goa and the rest of India is not, the percentage is not very high. So without implementation, without supervision, how do you think this is going to work? It is, in my personal opinion, if you look at it, it's not going to work. And with minimal supervision, you think it will succeed, or we will go into a third wave which is worse than a second wave?
We have to make sure that the enforcement is in place. The authorities have to really enforce whatever protocols that are to be put in place. Supervision and enforcement is a must. Without that, we've had an example when we had that window open for the tourists. Goa was just partying left, right, and center. So there are local authorities here. They should be made accountable and responsible to ensure a cell which will monitor with dedicated numbers where one can reach them if there is an issue, and immediately a flying squad can be sent there. Things can be done, but without enforcement, we'll be again at a loose end. Enforcement is very, very important.
Absolutely. Now see, I have slight this on you. Now for example, you take every police station in every area has got beat cops. The PI is the boss there, he's the head. Then above that you have the SDPO. Now I cannot believe that the local PI is not aware of what is going on the coastal belt. It is not possible, because the beat cops are there around and the cops are there around. So basically what I can say is that the government allowed things to get out of hand, allowed these parties because of political pressure, money, whatever may be the reason. Even at the casinos or in the hotels, it allowed. Now fine, that's done. We saw what happened. Now, is it possible for us to ensure that that's not going to happen again? Because just before you answer that question, I want to just make a statement. This COVID pandemic has gone throughout the world. It has literally broken down developed countries' health services, broken them down. The health services which are 100, 200 times better than Goa. So, if anybody thinks that the GMC and the private hospitals are going to cater to infection, it is not possible. It has broken down US, UK, everything. Only time after Trump, when enforcement, vaccination, all that came into being, things have settled down in the US and in other places like UK, and that you're aware. Now, if enforcement is not there. You cannot make 21 lakh beds or 21 or 15 plus another 10 lakh. Is that possible? So how confident are you? Now I go back to the question, how confident are you that this supervision is going to work? Because that will is not there, the political will is not there. What we have seen in the past year and a half. Just look at our markets. What do you feel?
See, we have seen what happened in a hard way. So we cannot allow this thing to repeat, because people also have realized what has happened, and so has government, because their back was against the wall when the numbers started just jumping. So the answer to this, according to me, would be have a central cell like 108, like 100. Immediately, once you get a complaint, that complaint is automatically registered, and they get to the people who are closest to this point where there is a problem. Now, once it is registered and once it is there, action will have to be taken. This is the only thing. Otherwise, it's not easy to patrol, because most of these things are done on quiet. Some of those parties will be in private. Some of the things somewhere. It's a big issue. But
Okay.
with the involvement even of the people, if you give them the number of this central monitoring cell, once they ring up, the complaint will be automatically registered, and then the local police stations or local authorities can be immediately alerted. So
Or is
that
not
way
action
actually-
taken against them?
Yes. Once
Absolutely.
it is registered, yes.
Correct, absolutely. Yes, I hope, I don't know if our implementing and supervisory agencies have really crowned themselves with glory over the past years. If you look at the markets in the villages, you could see. But Ralph, thanks a lot, and I hope that this year, the coming year, after the rains or whatever the season is better. And also, we wish you the best of luck in your tenure as the GCCI chief. Thank you. Thank you
Thank
for
you
coming in,
very much.
Ashay.
More than anything, I wish everybody a very safe and a healthy life in Goa. That is first. And then let's all do well.
Yes,
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ralph. Yeah. Now we have been speaking to Ralph D'Souza. He's been with TTAG, and now he's from July he will be heading the GCCI for very tough 2 years, I must say. So we have been talking about where he says that we need to take care of infections. We need to put things in order. We hope that the government is listening and his optimism pays, because ultimately if business fails, the government has no money, it cannot do anything. Thanks for watching, and keep watching Goa 365.